the speed you use, you can present 1.5 hours and 30 minutes Q&A, but it's up to you. You can do whatever you want. Okay, let's go. Professor Lee?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Sure. It's well, good.
Okay, then I'll get started. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for Professor Ku's invitation. This gives me a very valuable opportunity to share my research with students and the colleagues in Kyunghee University. I haven't been to Kyunghee University, but this year, this year in May, we attended the APAC Ray in Yonsei University. Yeah, and then I heard from my colleagues who is also a professor at Kyunghee University that Kyunghee is the most beautiful university in Korea. So I really hope that I have the opportunity to visit your university in the future. So let me give you a brief background of my my research and myself. My first degree was from physical geography. I graduated from Peking University with a degree of physical geography. At that time, when I was a student, we learned a lot about the earth, like the soil, the climate, the water, and everything. This actually gives me the many experience and knowledge about tourism planning and also the resources that are that we need for tourism development, which is actually fundamental in my time when China just started to develop tourism in a very dramatic space. And then later I went to the University of Waterloo in Canada to study to pursue my master's degree, and my major was human geography. And by human geography, we care more about the interaction between human being and the environment. And then after that, I went to Purdue University in the U.S. to pursue my PhD degree. And at that time, my major was consumer behavior and destination marketing. And after that, I joined PolyU in very long time ago in 2007 as assistant professor, and I have been here for 17 years. And my research has been focusing on consumer behavior and the marketing from the consumer or the demand perspective since then. And because the reason why I started to work on family tourism and children's tourism is because of my two daughters. I have two daughters. They are 16 and the younger one will turn 13 this week. The reason why I started to focus on children's tourism behavior is when they were very young, like 4 years old, I took my daughters to Bali in Indonesia. So at that time, as a young parent, I expect to see my daughters running on the sand, enjoying the sea. But it turns out that they don't like the sea. They don't like the sand. They don't like the sun. They enjoy the swimming pool in the resort much more than the sea, the sand, and everything that the adults would expect them to enjoy. And another kid of my daughter, she's also 4 at that time. The most enjoyable experience for her was to watching TV in the hotel room. And also they enjoy eating instant noodle during the trip, which surprised me a lot because we saw that they would, as adults, they would enjoy the beautiful scenery, but actually they enjoy something that they cannot do at home. And this makes me think about changing not changing, but putting emphasizing on part of my research on children's tourism behavior. That's where I started to work on that since 2014. So today, what I'm going to share are some of my research that are conducted with the children's market. So the reason why I apply the neuroscience method is that as we all know that for consumer behavior research, we use a lot of self-report method. This is a method that involves asking a participant about their feelings, attitudes, beliefs, and so on. So for the self-report measurement or self-report method, we have interview, in-depth interview, focus group, or survey, or like pencil and paper experiment, right? These are the method that we use for self-report method. But we all know that for the self-report method, there are some disadvantages, such as the cognitive bias and the socially desirable responses, right? So in some situations that we as researcher may have different understanding of the concept or constructs in the interview protocol or in the survey instrument from our respondents. That is cognitive bias. And in some situations that our respondents may not reveal their real feeling because their really real feeling may not be socially desirable. That's why they may fake their feelings and provide inaccurate or not real answer to our survey. So this is one of the disadvantages of self-report measurement. And also sometimes we highly rely on the record message, right? So even you conduct your research or survey right after their experience, it's still a record. So we have to rely on the record message, which may also have some bias, right? And another disadvantage is that we cannot record the unconscious mental responses. What we can record, what we can take down is conscious response, something that you are aware of, but our brain is very complicated. We have a lot of unconscious mental response, which cannot be recorded by the self-report measurement. Another disadvantages of the self-report measurement is incapable of capturing data in real time. So this is actually very important for the research in hospitality and tourism because we are part of the experience economy. What we experience en route is very important to our satisfaction, to our future behavior intention. But because we can only record the record message by survey or interview, we cannot capture the data in real time. So that is another major disadvantage of the self-report measurement. Then this is extremely problematic for the study with children, because if you ask children what is their most memorable experience, they will very likely give you what they have just experienced. So for example, in a park, if they had 10 activities and after all 10 activities, you ask them which one is your favorite, which one is the most memorable, they may give you the 9th or 10th activities that they experienced by the order. So the disadvantages or the weakness of the self-report measurement will be a huge barrier for our study for the children's tourism. That's why I started to think about how we can utilize the neuroscience method to study children's behavior. But before that, let me give you some background of the how does this method work. The activities in our brain consists of billions of cells. We call it neurons. And these neurons are densely interconnected through the synapses. So it's like some node that is the neuron. And then the nodes are linked by the synapses. So the synaptic activities generate a subtle electrical impulse. When we think about something, when we think of something, when any of our neurons are activated, it will send out signals through the synapses to other neurons. And this will generate some very, very subtle electrical impulses. So imagine that when now you are sitting in front of the computer to listen to this seminar, and millions of your cells or your neurons will be activated, and this will generate very subtle electrical impulse on the scalp, on the surface of your head. And then this very subtle electrical impulse can be measured on the head surface. And this is the principle of the neuroscience. We are trying to capture the subtle electrical impulse that happens on your scalp through the help of some equipment.
Okay. Professor Lee, I have a question for the neuroscience and the methodology. I conducted once EEG,
Yes.
the method for the test, and I conducted a research paper, and I realized that the difference between the survey-based approach and the neuroscience-based approach. And the survey-based, as you explained to us, is consciously and very cognitively we measured the dimensions, which is it can be tribal motivation or can be any variables I'm conceive and perceive. Okay, and that could be causes why I can be able to understand. Instead, as you see, there is later, and we record after we experience. That is very legitimate question, and I also realize that if we wearing the fMRI or EEG, and then like the brain is actively very well, and we can catch the part of the brain works. However, it's hard connection between the motivation and outcomes of brain works. So it's still is a problematic little bit somehow between the survey-based and then this neuroscience-based. So how can we make up those kind of the complement issue or some sort of things? I just want, and also another thing is it's very hard to get the data from the EEG or MRI, and very expensive.
Yes, yeah.
What do you think?
Let me share with you some of my research conducted using EEG, and then we can discuss this later.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this diagram shows the areas of our brain. We have different areas in our brain, and each area is responsible for different functions. And then we use the equipment to capture the signal from different areas so that we know that which area generates the strongest signal, and we can infer some information from such signals. So in terms of the methodology, the method or equipment that we can use for neuroscience research, there are several equipment or mainstream methodology or equipment that we can use for the EEG or neuroscience for the neuroscience research. So as a human being, in our whole body, we have the CNS, the central nervous system. We also have PNS, what is peripheral neural system. For the neuroscientific methods, it includes the neural activities within the brain, that is the CNS, and also our neural activities of the peripheral nervous system, that is the PNS. For the CNS, the mainstream method or equipment that we can use include EEG, MEG, fMRI, and PET. And then for the PNS, the equipment that we can use to capture the neural activities from PNS include ECG, GSR, EMG. In addition to this, sometimes or in most of the situation, we also use some assistive techniques like the eye tracking method that you can see a lot of research has been published using eye tracking. We can also use the implicit response test or indoor positioning system. Those are sometimes used in combined with the methodology for CNS or PNS. So let me explain those CNS equipment briefly. The first one is what we call MEG, magnet. It's very hard to pronounce. MEG. It analyzes and registers the magnetic activities in our brain. So remember that when our brain is activated, when the signal is transferred between the neuron, there is very subtle electronic signal generated from this transfer. And based on some very basic laws in physics, this can be transferred to magnetic activities. And that is the principle or working principle of the MEG, the analyze and record the magnetic activities in the brain with a helmet like this on the left-hand side. It contains a lot of sensors. This is a method that detects changes in the magnetic fields that have been induced by the electronic activities of the brain. So the advantage of this method of the MEG is it offers a very good temporal resolution to detect very slight change in brain activities. So it can detect, it can record all the activities happening in our brain in a very, very short period of time. But as you can see that it's very expensive because it's huge. And also it's not portable. So we can only use this in the laboratory setting. The second equipment that now are used broadly by scientists is what we call fMRI. We also see some of our researchers using fMRI for their research, but not very, only very a few of them using fMRI. This equipment, the measures and the maps brain activities through the detection of changes associated with the blood flow in the brain. So by using the fMRI, the participants lie in a bed, as you can see from the diagram, with their heads surrounded by a scanner that tracks the variation in the blood oxygenation in the brain, which are correlated to the neural activities. So for this one, it can provide a 3D view of your brain. So it has a very good spatial it can record the brain activities in a very specific region in the brain. So so in other words, very small and deep structures of the brain can be investigated. But same as the MEG, it has a very expensive. It's very expensive. It is not portable, and it's intrusive. Sometimes when people lie down and they feel very insecure when they are in this equipment. Actually, I attended one experiment in my university using the fMRI. It's related to mental health. And I stayed in the fMRI for 30 minutes. And believe me, it's very uncomfortable. You feel very unsafe and you feel that you will be attacked by some, mysterious power in this machine. So that's the disadvantage. But it has very high spatial resolution. And another one is what we call PET. It's an invasive technique. So it's seldomly used in consumer behavior research. It tests the metabolic activity of the human body by detecting and analyzing the 3D distribution of an ultra-short life radiopharmaceutical injected in the patient's body. So because of its intrusive nature, this method is highly used in medical research, but very few in consumer behavior research. And this is what we use in consumer behavior research, the EEG. This is how EEG work. We have this helmet. As you can see from the diagram, we have the helmet to capture or record the signals from your scalp. And this is the amplifier. The helmet or the cap capture the signal, and then it transfer to the amplifier, and then it will enlarge the signal and to be recorded in the laptop or in your machine. And then we analyze the data captured, or we analyze the signals we captured from this in using some certain software. So compare with other methods or other equipments of the other equipment for the CNS research, we can see that EEG is more economic. It's much cheaper. We have one in our school. It costs less than half a million. But if you use and every time when we use that is free. The only investment is the gel that we use to put on the scalp to transfer the signal. But if you use fMRI, in our university, we also have fMRI equipment, and every time you use that is 1,600 Hong Kong dollar. That's around 200 US dollar. That's for PolyU colleagues and students. But if other people want to use that, it's much expensive. And if you book the equipment, even you don't use that, because sometimes the participant may feel uncomfortable, they quit in the middle, or sometimes we have no show respondents and they still have to pay. So it's very expensive, but EEG is much cheaper. And it's portable. I will show you a video that we use that how we use that for data collection. And it's high temporal resolution. It can capture the very subtle change in the brain if compared with MRI. MRI has a very good spatial resolution, but in terms of temporal resolution, it's weaker than EEG. And then another advantage is non-invasive. So it's for the respondents, it's more acceptable. Then because of the advantages of the EEG equipment, we see some application of the EEG technique in consumer behavior research. For example, some researchers use that for advertisement efficiency. They combine neuroscience and marketing to evaluate advertising campaigns before releasing them to the general public, and there are some papers published on this area. We can also use that to study the purchase decision, because using EEG we can understand participants' preferences. So if they demonstrate higher preferences, we can assume that they have higher intention to purchase some product. So this is purchase decision. We can also use that for logo and the product design. After we design the logo and the product, we can release them to the participants and record their brain activities to see their preferences and also their change of emotion. And there are also some research conducted recently. Well, not really recently, but yeah. And also we can use that for sensory food research. We can observe consumer emotion and behavior in relation to food and beverage during their when they consuming the food and beverage or wine. We can see their emotional responses toward the food appearance, aroma, and the flavor. So there is some research conducted using EEG to demonstrate the effect of wine flavors on consumers' emotion. And we can see that actually the flavor, the aroma, and the taste of wine cause higher emotional excitement in women. So this is another possible application of neuroscience technique. And also in urban design, we use that for urban experiences. So you can see that using this portable equipment, we can ask the respondents to walk in a neighborhood to see how their emotion change. So so we have a concept called emotional map in consumer research. Normally before we do such type of research using we ask the respondents to write down their emotional change and how they feel during their walk in a neighborhood or in a building or property. But using this method or using this technique, we can easily record their emotional change when they are walking around. So because of the the advantages of this equipment or technique, it also used by some company in their advertisement. Let me show you a video from I think it's BMW. Okay, so as you can see from this video, it actually used the EEG technique to record drivers' emotional change and as a way to promote their new product. But actually, after several years study using this equipment, I can tell you that this is not possible because we have very limited understanding of our brain and in most of the situation, we can only know that, yes, you have emotional vibration, you have emotion change, but we cannot tell you which emotion exactly it is. So if you are doing emotional research, you may know that we have a list of emotion for human being, over 100 type of emotion. But for EEG, now we can only detect very few of them. So it's almost impossible to say that, oh, you have excitement, oh, you have happiness, oh, you have curiosity. It's almost impossible.
No. So
Yeah, so it's
that's one of my curiosity and questions. Like in survey-based research, we can measure which one is a cognitive-based approach, which one is emotional approach, and usually when we choose a certain specific destination or place, okay, cognitively, I would like to visit those places because the place is nice, beautiful, something like that. That is pretty much emotional sensing. And then if EEG catch my way of thinking, it is pretty much related to emotional aspect, but actually it's not. So
no, we
can you
cannot.
identify the cognitive part and the emotional part from this brain activity?
Well, so far, what we use, the mostly used knowledge of the brain activity is memory, attitude, preference, and we can detect the emotional change, but we don't know what the emotion is.
That's correct. That's my curiosity. So
Yeah,
we
so
can catch the vibration, the up and down of
yes,
my brain, but however, which one, cognitive or emotion?
we cannot detect. Yeah, because our understanding of the brain is very limited. And for the neuroscientists, they focus more on the big problems. to solve the big problems, like something that are related to how our brain work and how to solve those medical problems, how to detect certain type of neurological illness. But for consumer behavior, it's not. I don't think at the current stage this is not their major concern. That's why actually last year we were trying to conduct a research using EEG to detect consumers' response to wine. Yeah, so our original thought was to try to use EEG to see whether they can generate different emotion when they see different color of the wine, the different aroma, and also the different flavor. But then when we search the literature, we cannot establish the link between the aroma, flavor, and the brain response. Yeah, because I think for neuroscientists, this is not a major issue, still is a minor issue. So we cannot detect this. We cannot establish the relationship. So we can see that, oh yeah, you have emotional vibration, but I don't know which part of the environment or which part of the stimuli generate this response. Yeah.
How about this? Like watching YouTube and watching the video which is fun, exciting, something like that. If I can feel the exciting video, then my brain function would be different curve when I watching the video. And then these days, the video uh, also broadcast with written text uh, sort of things. In case of a written text, I read carefully the written text with a video together. Then written text is not emotional, it's a cognitive processing to understand what they try to say. Then the curve is slightly different from just only watching the video and watching the text or online review with video contents. So what do you think about that? Is you can find out the difference between those combined or text and image or just only image?
Well, many of my research, we actually combine the survey or interview with EEG techniques. So we compare the results from different data collection channel as a way to triangulate our findings. So in most of the situation, the interview or questionnaire served the role to explain the findings from the EEG or eye tracking, because we see the vibration, we see the changes, but we don't know what happens. And then we ask them, I see, for this episode, when you watch the video for one particular episode, you have some changes in your brain, and can you tell us what happens? Yeah, so that's normally what we do for our research. Okay, so now we see some application of neuroscience method in the field of tourist behavior research. For example, for EEG, we have advertisement evaluation, culture and creative product design, decision making, travel experience, and destination preferences. We also have we also see some many research using eye tracking in tourism advertisement design, resource evaluation, map design, and the space perception, so on and so forth. And there are very few study using fMRI to study the hotel staff emotional perception and also destination decision. But my concern is that for hospitality and tourism research, because our product or experience is different from the tangible product. It's not like we buy the product and then we consume the product. The purchase and the consumption happens at the same time. So if we do the research in the laboratory setting, then it will miss a lot of information. The external validity will be a huge problem if we do the research in laboratory setting. And also for the study of fMRI, and you can see from the PPT I showed that you have to lie down and put your head in the helmet and you can stay stable. Actually, when we do the fMRI research, the respondents have to stay in the equipment stable. They cannot move around. You cannot shake your hand. You can just maintain one posture for a long time. And then I think that will also harm the external validity. Therefore, for the EEG and the eye tracking, because they're portable, the application is more feasible for the tourist behavior research. Yeah. Let me skip this one. Now I'm going to share with you some of the study that I conducted using the neuroscience techniques. I will share two study using eye tracking technique and one use EEG. The first one is children's attention toward cartoon executed photos. This paper has been published on Annals of Tourism Research in 2020, but actually we started this research in 2018. It takes a long time to finish the research. So the original reason for us to do this research is that as I mentioned, that my research focus is children's tourism, but we don't see many research conducted from the children's perspective. And then nowadays, with the contemporary parenting paradigm, that the children are give more freedom, give more give more freedom to have some and also they have higher influence in families' purchase decision, especially in travel decision. But we don't know how they develop their knowledge about tourism, how they develop their knowledge of the destination, and then we don't know how they form their decision. So as we know that advertisement, even intentional or unintentional advertisement is a major source for consumers to form their knowledge about the destination. So we want to study the advertisement for destination. And that's now, although most of the advertisement are video in the video format, but we also see a lot of advertisement in picture form. So as the beginning of this stream of research, we started from the image advertisement. We want to see how children respond to advertisement or the pictures of destinations. And the theoretical foundation of this research is the dual process theory. According to the theory, the stimulus characteristics, for example, the contrast, the complexity, can influence the viewer's sensitization of the receiving information and then affect processing fluency. So stimuli with unique or distinct features are sought to generate a sense of affection and elicit closer attention. So if we have a higher sense of affection and closer attention, then we'll generate higher intention to purchase. That's our assumption for this research. So the higher the attention, the higher the preference, the higher higher likelihood to make the decision. So this is the theoretical foundation. And then in the study in the advertisement, the effect of children's attention has been highly focused on tangible products such as toys, such as the cereal. And also we see a lot of warning advertisement for cigarette or junk food or alcohol. We don't see much research in the field of advertising to investigate children's attention toward intangible products like hospitality and tourism products. And then in our own field, in the research, in the field of tourist advertisement, we do see some research on the effectiveness of the advertisement, but most of the research highly rely on the questionnaire or interview that the disadvantage of those methods we have been discussed. So especially for the attention part, it's almost impossible to study viewers' attention by questionnaire or interview. So for this study, we try to investigate the effectiveness of cartoon tactics on tourism photography in eliciting children's attention and preferences. And we have three hypotheses based on the working principle of eye tracking. So we have hypothesized that the cartoon executed photographs may attract more attention than normal photo, a longer fixation duration, and a longer dwell time than the normal photo. Then for the research design, it's a mixed method design. We had a experiment, and also we had a structured interview. The experiment is we have three two experiment. Culture, we have three types of photos: culture destination, natural. This is culture destination. This is a big Buddha in Hong Kong. We have natural destination, that is the Lamma Island, which is a very famous destination, seaside destination in Hong Kong. And also we have a recreation destination, that is the Hong Kong Disneyland. And the photo effect, we have normal versus cartoon. We use the software to do some touch up on the original photo that we downloaded from the website of Hong Kong Tourism Board, and this is how we executed the photos. And then the display order is we have two different sequences. Either start from cartoon executed photo or from the normal photo, but it was shown in a random order. And the participants was 51 primary school students, and their age ranged from 10 to 13. But actually, all of the students are in primary 5, although they have different age, but they are in the same grade. So we also collect all the data from the same school, and we were trying to use this to eliminate the potential effect from the age, the family background, and their knowledge. So this is our participants. And for the equipment, we use the SMI RAS in scientific, and these are the stimuli. Okay, so this is where we conducted our research. Actually, the data collection went very smoothly because we got we collaborated with a local university, and the university has a very strong relationship with a local primary school. So we recruited all the research participants from same school with the consent from the student guardians, and also from the teacher of the school. And the procedure of the research was we did calibration to make sure that the eye movement of the respondents can be successfully captured by our equipment. And then we did manipulation check, and then after they see all 6 photos, there's 6 photos in a randomized order, and then we will do a structured interview, ask them their preference, their attitude toward those photos. So the whole process is very smooth, and it only took like 2 days to collect data from 51 children in the school. So this is the heat map of the what we recorded from the equipment, the eye tracking equipment. The darker the color, the more attention the viewers pay to the photo. So you can see that, for example, in the culture attraction, the children pay more attention to the face on the cartoon executed photos. So this is the what we record from the machine. And then as Professor Ku just mentioned that if you only look at this, it doesn't make much sense, right? You cannot infer much valuable information only by this. That's why we also use the structured interview to check the children's preference and the evaluation of all those photos. So to test our hypothesis, we found that the cartoon executed photo evoked more children's attention than the normal photo for the culture and the recreation attractions. For example, one children mentioned that I like this cartoon effect to Disneyland. By staring at it, I feel like someone must be living inside the castle. So by executing by applying the cartoon technique to the photo, it actually evoke the children's imagination of the attraction, then will generate more intention to visit. But for the natural attraction, the cartoon executed photo exert no significant influence in drawing children's attention, which means that the attention paid to both cartoon executed photo or the normal photo are the same. And the children mentioned that I prefer the normal photo that shows the blue sky and the green scenery. The cartoon one looks rather distorted, and they feel that it's not real, it's not authentic, and they don't like it.
Okay.
So
before we go to the contribution, the few questions about the research, you investigate on how children react to the cartoon versus natural the contents. And did you investigate with the mothers and fathers together when you're conducting this experiment?
No, they attended the experiment on their own.
Okay, so because usually children get together with their parents in Disneyland, and probably if we can be able to detect the adult they behavior different from their children, and children look at the certain part, but instead parents look at the other part, and or then we can contribute to children's motivation and children's the sensory action are different from the adults, and so that is gonna be theoretical contribution when we talk about it. And probably it's cartoon based gender issue. There's a girl and boys, probably they react differently when they see the content in cartoon. So especially I don't have a daughter, but what if bring my daughter? They look differently when they go to the park. And instead, boy, they look the other part different from the daughters. So that would be 4 different gender, daughter and boy, and parents and the children. That would be a little bit can be the role of a moderating part if we can apply this research. Just my questions.
Oh yeah, it sounds very interesting. For this research, we didn't see any difference between male and female children. So gender did not play a role in this aspect. But in the next study I'm going to share, that we use EEG asking the children to watch videos. We do find some differences between girls and the boys. Yeah. And then with regard to the role of parents, for this study, we didn't involve any adults because number one reason is that we actually conducted this research during their school time. So it's much easier that we don't involve adults. Otherwise, we have to find another place and include all the adults to conduct the survey, and also what other way of data collection. And another reason is that we want to see how children respond to the advertisement without influence from the parents. So we want to see their own feelings about the findings about the advertisement, because in our other research we did some interview with families. So father, mother, and children, they have interview together. And the among during the process of interview, actually we see some very subtle dynamics among the families. Like sometimes they discuss, sometimes they have different views, and sometimes they go through the process of negotiation and then compromising. So it's a group dynamics, and certainly it's a very interesting research topic. But for this one, because we just started to, at that time in 2018, we just started to do this, using this for children. We want to make it manageable. That's why we didn't involve parents. But certainly this is a very good idea that we can do some comparison between children and parents. Yeah. So I hope I answered your question.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah. And then the contribution, we argued our contribution on several aspects. One is advertising effectiveness. As we mentioned, that most of the existing research for children on advertising effectiveness focus on tangible product, but this one we include intangible product. So we provide a different perspective from intangible product. And then for the tourism marketing, most of the previous research using self-report method, which is hard or almost impossible to detect their attention. But we introduced the neuroscience technique to take a record of their attention. And then for children's tourism, at that time, we don't see many research collecting data from children's perspective. In most of the research, we collect the data from the parents' perspective, asking parents how their children feel. But for this one, we ask the children to share their own views with the researcher. And also this is a pre-trip travel behavior. In the children's tourism research, most of the study are focusing on the after trip or during the trip. So these are the major contributions we claimed. So as I mentioned, that this paper is published, conducted in 2018, 6 years ago, and published 4 years ago. So most of the findings are, well, I have to admit that now I look at this research, I think this is quite simple. That's why after that we conducted another research, because actually most of the advertisement nowadays we use are video advertisement. We seldom see image advertisement. So that one offers some foundation, or actually give us some confidence to collect data using neuroscience technique with children. So after that, we started another research to look at children's temporal emotion variation to tourism advertisement videos. So we know that advertisement is an essential strategy to include potential customers, to induce potential customers to make a tourism decision. And the consumer's feelings, emotional response, and behavior intentions have been considered as more reliable indicators to evaluate the effectiveness of the advertisement. And then the researchers' understanding of the advertisement evoked emotion has shifted from a static and a global perspective to a dynamic and local views. So we do not only care about how you feel about the advertisement as a whole, but in addition to this, we also want to know how your emotion changes when you watch the video. So in the process of watching the advertisement, how our feelings and emotions change, rather than only look at the overall attitude toward one piece of advertisement. This is highly related to the change of technology. Nowadays, we have a lot of short videos. We have different platform that we can view short videos like TikTok, right? Then one drawback of this is that if in previous promotional distribution channel, the customers receive the videos passively. So because that's the only channel, if you wanna watch another video, you have to wait until this one finished. But now with so many platform, if one video cannot evoke our interest, cannot attract our intention, then we will switch off. We will switch to another one. So it may become extremely important to understand the emotional change during the video. That's why we launch or we carry out this research, because now it's getting important to understand the temporal information on emotion in tourism advertisement. But our understanding of this is still at a very preliminary level. So we do know that like some questions like would tourists experience the same emotion fluctuation while exposed to tourism advertisement with varying level of emotional content? For example, the emotional balance. Are there other key moments worth the attention when watching the advertisement? Nowadays, most of the research focusing on the peak moment and ending moment. But as we know that for the advertisement of videos, they have different moments: the starting moment, the down moment. How consumer respond to those moments are still unknown. That's why we carry out this research. This paper has been published in 2000. I put minor revision, but actually it has been published in 2023, last year, has been published last year on Annals of Tourism Research. So for this research, we use the EEG to explore children's real-time emotional experiences in response to tourism advertisements with different emotional balance. And also we analyzed children's emotion on 5 key moments, like peak moments, end moments, beginning moments, through moments, and the middle moments. The indicator we used for this research, the alpha wave. The alpha wave is the wave whenever we close our eyes and bring ourselves into a calm state, our brain will be taken over by the alpha wave. So this frequency is used in attention and emotion related research. And for this one, we specifically we use the frontal alpha asymmetry as an indicator for the preferences. So this frontal alpha asymmetry refers to the differences in alpha power between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere in the frontal cortex. And the symmetry between these two brain regions could be used to reflect respondents' emotional states. The higher scores normally reflect more positive emotional states. That's what we call preference. So we can use the differences of the alpha wave on the left side of your brain from the right side of your brain to calculate the preferences. And then before the main study, we the first step was to select the video for the stimuli of the research. So we recruited 30 children to participate in the pilot test. This includes half and half. The gender distribution is half and half, and also we included nearly half of the children aged 8 to 12. and another half 13 to 16. This was the two age group was selected based on the theory proposed by Piaget in the developmental psychology, that the children in this two age group, they demonstrate different cognitive development stage. So these two stage are different cognitive stage. And then the emotional balance and the arousal of stimuli was measured by the self-assessment mannequin, SAM, which is easy to help children to understand the emotional dimensions by using these graphic characters. And then we searched 21 advertisements from different channels as the experimental stimuli. And then we asked the children to view all 21 videos and then evaluate the balance of the videos using the SAM. And as a result, we picked 3 high balance videos and 3 low balance videos to be used in the main experiment. And then at the beginning, I was a little bit worried because if we ask adult to view 21 travel-related videos, they will feel very bored. They will feel they will be fatigued. But I actually involved my 2 daughters in the pilot study, and during the whole process, I were accompanying them watching the videos. I found out that they were very attention. They pay a lot of attention to the video, and they feel it's very fun because you know, as parents, we don't allow children to watch too much videos. So it's a rare opportunity for them to watch video. That therefore, I didn't see any fatigue in the whole process. So as a result, we selected 6 videos with 3 in high valence and 3 in low valence. And then the next stage, we recruited the participants for the main study. We recruited 63 children in the study. Again, almost half and half in terms of gender distribution. And then the age group distribution is similar to the pilot study. And then the procedure of the study was like this, that we can see from this diagram, that they were presented with 2 groups of 3 advertisements sequentially. And then each video was presented for about 60 seconds. That's the length of the video. And then followed by evaluation stage, in which they asked to assess the emotional balance and the arousal for the video. And after the evaluation, there is an indicator, the plus signal. And then it's as an interstimulus interval for 0.5 seconds. And then they continue to see another group, other videos. And then 2 experimental groups were counterbalanced across the participants, and all the videos were presented in a random order. And during this photos shows where the experiment or the data were collected. For the EEG, 10 electrodes were recorded using the machine, and then the data were processed by using the EEG lab toolbox and some software in the some algorithm in the MATLAB. And there's a limitation of the research. And as you can see from the pictures, the data were collected in different settings using different machine or screen. Ideally, we should do this research in the same setting, asking the research participants viewing the videos using using monitor of same size. But the problem was that the data were collected in 2020. Yeah, 2020, when China was experiencing lockdown because of the COVID-19. So we cannot ask the children to travel to our lab for data collection. So all the data collection will carry out in the research participants' home. That's why we see they use different screen and they have different settings, environment setting. That it was a limitation for our research, but because of the COVID-19 at that time, that's the only option we have. And the results here are we of course we also did some the survey asking the children to evaluate the videos. That is the behavioral results. The behavioral results revealed a significant difference in valence between the high valence group and low valence group, but the difference of the emotional arousal did not reach significance level, which means that the arousal level is similar, but we do see the difference in terms of the high valence and low valence of the video. That is how we, and then we did some analysis with the data collected from EEG, and this is the overall emotional feature over the time that we see a lot of fluctuation from different in the different moment of the when we view the video. So this dark line shows the high positive valence, and this green line shows the low positive valence, the emotion with the low positive valence video. Okay, as I just mentioned that we did some comparison among children of different age and among children of different age group, and we see that this is for the boys and this is for the girls, that the fluctuation is actually different, right? You can see that the female or the girls, they have relatively stable emotion when they view the video, but there are a lot of fluctuation for male participants.
Mm.
And then in terms of the age group, we can also see that the younger children, the children that aged 8 to 12, they have more fluctuation when they view the advertisement. But for children of the older children, the children aged 13 to 16, they are more stable in terms of emotion. And also we have some more detailed description of the fluctuation in our paper. You can refer to the paper if you are interested. But in conclusion, that we can see that high valence videos evoked more happiness during the intermediate period, that is 20 seconds to 50 seconds, than the low valence video. The downward slide toward unhappiness appeared earlier when children watched the low valence video. So this is one of the description from the data. And also we see that girls are more sensitive to the valence of the advertising videos, and they had a downward slide toward unhappiness later. And younger children were more sensitive to the valence of the advertising videos during the early period, while the older children were more sensitive to the intermediate period, and they had a downward slide toward unhappiness later. So in conclusion, that this is another attempt that we made to collect EEG data from children. We actually at the beginning we were a little bit worried because we have to inject the gel on the scalp of the children. We were worried that the parents may not be happy, but I think it might be because of the COVID that they have nothing to do, so they allowed their children to participate in the study, and the data collection was actually not. It's actually very smooth. And it's among the first attempts to adopt a time frequency analysis approach in the emotion research in tourism, examining the temporal fluctuation of emotion when children watching tourism advertisement. And we investigated, or we analyzed 3 different types of emotional features for the overall feature, the gender-based feature, and also the age-based features. So So we hope that this research may have some implication for the tourism advertisement development. So this is the second research that we want to share is still about the advertisement and the marketing effectiveness for children. And then after
Before
that,
we go into that study, I have a question for this paper. Two questions. One is, okay, what if we conduct survey-based experiment toward the video watching? And the experiment designed by survey, we can exactly understand those variable would be different. And this EEG case is outcomes of the brain activity. And then we can get the statistic result from EEG outcomes. So can you verify as an external validity between two different methods of the study?
I'm sorry, the signal was disconnected just now. Can you repeat?
So
yeah.
The EEG result is significantly different between the age groups, but the outcomes of the research can be conducted by survey experiment as well. So can you say the result can be same with the EEG case or survey experiment case, or different?
I think the problem for survey-based study is that the video is only 60 seconds in length. It's very hard for the respondents to evaluate each moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you argue the EEG can get the moment of stimulus.
Yeah. So we can evaluate
point. So
the temporal variation, but I don't think survey-based study can test these subtle changes in emotion.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's only 60 second.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Second question is like the EEG, the outcomes of the result, and then we have to figure out the statistical result out of that result, and it can be a bit different from the survey experiment, the statistics, and this one.
Yes. Yeah. It's different.
Might
Actually,
be difficult.
we didn't compare the significance level. We only describe the pattern and analyze the pattern.
I see.
Yeah.
You're just showing us the pattern of the analysis and the curve and how they work through sort of things.
Yes. Yeah. So we didn't do we didn't compare the statistic difference between age group or gender group, but we just describe the pattern and see how the pattern looks different among different consumer groups.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So the two study focusing on the pre-travel part of the experience, that is the advertisement. And then we were thinking that in tourism and hospitality research, we did a lot of research on behavior intention. We want to see how what we do or how their knowledge influence or how their previous experience influence their decision intention or the behavior intention, how or the likelihood of making certain type of behavior of decision or taking certain type of action. But it's a problem. We don't see much research, or it's very hard to know whether they do take the action or they do, after they make the decision, they do make the trip, right? So what is we do see the gap between intention and the actual behavior. because most of our research are in the laboratory setting, or it's not the real field experiment. So we were thinking that is it possible that we use the neuroscience technique to do some field experiment to see after they see certain stimuli whether they can take the action that they claim that they're going to do. So that's why we carried out our third research, nudging children toward healthier life, the application of positive contagion effect in children's food decision. The reason why we do this research in the restaurant setting is it's relatively easier to because it's relatively simple consumption setting that you go to the restaurant, you read the menu, and then you make the decision and then you dine. So it's a relative easier for as a starting point. Because if we do this for travel, it's a lot of investment, right? You have to book the ticket, you have to book the hotel. It takes more effort or investment or resources to make such a decision, but eating is relatively easier. So that's why we do this in the restaurant setting. The research background is related to the children's obesity. Actually, in Hong Kong, the childhood obesity is a prevalent problem, as reported by the government agency that the rate of obesity among primary and secondary school children is around 20% in 2020. So this become actually a problem for the society. And then according to a recent study, which put over 2,000 studies with measurement of weight on 31 million children aged 8 to 19 years old in over the past 4 decades, the global prevalence of childhood obesity is also ranged from less than 1% to more than 6% in 2016. So this is a global problem for the children's obesity. And of course, there are many, many reasons that contribute to the obesity problem. And one of that is dining out. Because of the changing of the society, changing of the consumption pattern, we see more and more parents taking their child out for eating. And restaurants are viewed as an essential contributor to childhood overweight. Because food provided by the restaurant tend to be higher in energy, fat, sugar, and the salt, and there are less fiber and the nutrition. So in another word, it's not healthy. So in response to this, there are some the restaurant, of course, they take some action. There are several regulatory measures and the interventions implemented in many restaurants to promote healthy eating practice. And among all those measures, menu design strategy is one of the solutions. So this is what we want to do. We want to see how carefully designed menu can promote healthy diet for children, and we apply the nudge theory to do this research. The nudge refers to a small, even tiny inventions to steer individuals' behavior in a predictable way. So we, by using the heuristics and the cognitive bias, the nudge can improve people's decision outcomes rather than coercions. So we push them to do something rather than force them to do something. That's the principle of nudge. And in the nudge theory, there is a contagion effect. It's a source is believed to transfer some contagion and entity to a recipient when they are in the physical contact with each other. So this effect can be felt throughout the entire time when they touching and last even after the contact has ceased. And there are positive contagion and also negative contagion. For example, if a guest notice, for example, in the left-hand side picture, when the waiter or waitress serve several plates, and if the customer see their finger touch the food in one plate, they may feel that other plates, the food in other plates are contaminated. This is negative contagion. And the positive contagion most happen in the celebrity endorsement. When we see your favorite celebrity are endorsing certain product because they are physically together in the advertisement, you may transfer your favor with the celebrity to the product. That is a positive contagion. And then in after reviewing the literature, on the nudge theory and also the contagion effect, we identify a research gap that is there's no research appears to have investigated the attention patterns when the contagion effect happens, especially act as a nudge in helping people to make better choices. So we believe that the exploration of attention patterns can help to understand the mechanism, the cognitive mechanism of how the contagion influence consumers' decision making. And then when it comes to attention study, the natural solution is eye tracking techniques, which is easier to navigate. So in this study, we use the eye tracking technique to study children's attention to the menu. And the menu is carefully designed as a source of contagion to nudge the children for more healthier uh, decision making in food selection. And then in this research, we also introduced some moderators. One is consumer socialization, another is family communication patterns. The reason why we introduce these two moderators is because so imagine that as an adult, if we go to the restaurants, we see the menu, even the menu is designed differently. We know very firmly that we want to order. We would very unlikely to be influenced by the design of the menu or the contagion, the source of contagion, because we are experienced consumers. We know what we want and we know how to make a purchase decision. But for children, they are developing themselves to be a consumer. And this process of developing oneself to be a consumer is called consumer socialization. For the children, for the children, they are in the different level of consumer socialization, meaning that they have different skills, knowledge, and attitudes to function as a consumer, or their cognitive level is different. So in some situation, the level of consumer socialization is in line with the cognitive ability. But in some situation, for example, if we compare children of similar age from highly developed society to a relatively underprivileged society, then their level of consumer socialization will be very different. So we introduced the consumer socialization as a moderator. And another moderator we introduced is a family communication patterns, like how the parents communicate with their children or how much freedom the children are given in making their own decision. And based on two dimensions, one is encouragement and the other is level of control. We have four dimensions or four types of family communication patterns. So these are the two moderators we believe that they may influence their decision making. The reason why we introduced these two moderators because of in our one of our previous research on children's travel decision making or their role in family travel decision making, we actually find that the family communication patterns and their level of socialization as a consumer plays a role in their decision making in the role that they played in family decision making. So we believe that these two concepts may also play the same role in dine in the dining decision in the restaurant setting. So this is the stimuli we use for our research. This is the left-hand side is the control manual. That's a regular manual. And on the right-hand side is the manual that we designed for this research. So for this research, the first step is to design the lunch menu. These are our objectives and hypotheses. Hypothesis 1, children consume fewer calories when ordering from a menu containing positive contingent sources versus a menu without. And the second hypothesis, the menu with positive contingent source beside healthy items leads to a longer fixation duration, meaning more attention. And also we have some hypotheses on the moderator effects. And this is our research framework.
Show me too fast. Okay.
Yeah, so positive contingent generate more attention and their consumption of the calorie they consume from the food, the overall calorie. And then we have some two moderator effect, two moderators.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, then
the research model is very well organized, very looking good.
Thank you.
I never seen this kind of a research model. You know, I not tons of, but a number of papers I published and drew the research model. But your research model shocking to me. One layer, two layer, and two different moderating, and also another independent variable goes to the as moderating to dependent variable. Wow, it's a very creative research model.
Thank you. So this the two moderator measures their cognitive ability. So the cognitive ability is not part of the model. We just want to indicate that these two constructs are the indicators of cognitive ability. Okay, so then we have to we need to design the manual first. And then because of our findings from the cartoon executed pictures that we know that how cartoon works for children. That's why we decided to also introduce cartoon as the contingent resources. So we collected 30 cartoon characters from different social medias, and also of course we got the consent from the creator of the cartoon image. We didn't introduce any cartoon image that are well known like Mickey Mouse, like the princess, because then children's preference to the cartoon character or the personality of the cartoon character will influence our study results. So we just introduced some unknown feature cartoons in our study. Those and after we selected the 13 characters, we invited 31 children to evaluate those cartoon characters. All those children were recruited from primary schools in Hong Kong. We included some secondary school students, but most of the respondents are primary school students. And the gender and the age distribution of the sample is nearly identical to that in the formal experiment. To evaluate the character of a cartoon character, we ask very simple questions. I like the cartoon. I think the cartoon is lovely, and I feel happy when I see this cartoon character. Those are the three questions we ask, and we ask them to measure this on a 1 to 7 Likert scale. So another item that we have to decide is how we present the cartoon. And there are four, based on the, after reviewing relevant literature, we identified four types of schemes. One is no line, there's no line, and the color is different. And the second scheme is no line, but color is similar. A third scheme, line with line and different color. And the fourth scheme is same color with line. And we invited another group of children from in Hong Kong to evaluate this four types of schemes. And again, the questions we asked were also very simple. We just asked them to answer this question, like the cartoon character is spatially adjacent to the fish and the chips. And the cartoon character is spatially separate from the item, and the cartoon character and the fish are integrated spatially. So we want to make sure that when they are presented with this type of design, they can see this cartoon character and the menu item are an integral part. They are together. We want to make sure that this can be the contingent source for the menu item. So this is the second stage of data collection. We ask the children to evaluate the spatial adjacent of the cartoon character and also the menu item. Okay, and then we also have to design what to be included in the menu because the dependent variable is how much calories they consumed. So we need to know the ingredients and also the calorie level of each menu item. So in order to design the menu, we had an expert panel include two chefs, one restaurant manager, and one nutrition expert in nutrition as consultants to assist with the dish selection, ingredient analysis, and also the menu development. So because this is a field experiment, we cannot deviate too much from the original menu items of the restaurant or what they can offer in the restaurant. So we just ask them to provide all the possible items that they can provide to the customers, and we asked our nutrition expert to help us to design the menu, and then we check with the restaurant manager and the chef to see whether they can really offer this. And then as a result, this is the menu that we used for the main study. The four categories including 14 items. There are 2 choices for the starter, 4 for the main course, and 2 for dessert, and 6 for the drinks. And this is the final menus we used. This is the controlled menu, and this is the treatment menu. The field experiment was conducted in the Green Restaurant of Hotel Icon, which is owned by our university. It's our research and the teaching hotel. So they were very nice to allow us to do the study. And this is the bird view of our restaurant, the lobby restaurant. And this is the table that we conducted our research. We also did some research on which table we should use. We were trying to not to disturb the business of the restaurant, and also there should be enough light, and also we want to make sure that all the experiment was conducted in the same setting, and so we need to have a fixed table. That's why, as a result, the restaurant gave us this table to do the experiment. So the experiment was conducted in 2021 to 2022, for 2 months, and all the data were collected during the lunch. We recruited 64 children aged 7 to 12 for the research, but six of them were excluded because of the calibration problems or incomplete response. So as a result, we had 58 usable data for the study. And the participants were randomly divided into 2 groups. One used the treatment manual, and the other used the normal control manual. The data were collected from 3 perspectives or 3 different sources. One is we use the eye tracking technique to record their attention. And after that, we also did a questionnaire or in-depth structured interview to ask for their to evaluate their socialization level and also their family communication patterns. And the consumer decision was automatically recorded as they make the order.
Mm-hmm.
So the phase 1, of course, we have to go through all the research ethics clearance. Also, we get the consent from their parents or guardians. We send the consent form, and then we ask the children to wear the device in the lobby of the hotel, and then we do the calibration to before they enter the restaurant. So this is the equipment we use. This one is a portable, and if the participant is short eye sighted, we can change the lens. So this is the equipment that we used for this study. And after calibration in the hotel lobby, we escort them to the table for the survey, for the experiment. All the manual was shown on the iPad like this. You can see from the picture, and we try to make sure that the distance they sit. The distance between the respondents and the monitor is similar among all the respondents. And then so they were presented with one of the 2 manuals, either the control manual or the experiment manual. And after they view the manual, they make their purchase decision. They order the dish, and then they enjoy the meal. So after they finish their lunch, we invite them to participate in the survey. We had 3 parts of the question. We asked the children to evaluate each cartoon character's attractiveness and the boundary effect of the menu, and also their consumer socialization level, and also their family communication patterns. So these are the content that were included in the questionnaire survey. And then for the eye tracking data to examine visual attention as depicted by the eye movement, we initially defined 12 areas of interest that did not overlap. The participant fixation duration on each dish item was captured by area. Before we analyzed the eye tracking data, we again checked the attractiveness of the attractiveness of the cartoon character, and the result is similar to what we find from the pilot study, meaning that for the research participants, they feel that this cartoon character are attractive for them. And same for the boundary effect, that they feel the cartoon character are the contingent resources for the manual item. Then as we can see from the results, that in the figures below, we can see that the treatment manual or experiment manual could reduce children's calorie intake for their main dish, but it didn't influence the appetizer or dessert or drink, or only it reduced. Well, the children view the experiment or treatment manual intake less calorie than the children view the normal menu or the control menu.
Why those kind of a result come from? Main course is understandable. The starter, dessert, drink doesn't work. It means it's minor effect. So they didn't count.
No, we count, but the difference are not significant.
Yes. I mean, so why? Why these children do not consider it?
I think it relates to the to the menu items that we can see that most of the children they prefer the crispy stuff, but for the salad, I think they don't really in favor of the salad, and also the pomelo, they're not in favor of that. So I think because we have some restriction in design the menu or the selection of the menu item, because we have to follow whatever is available in the restaurants. Yeah, so I think in the future, if the restaurant really want to apply this menu design to reduce the calorie intake of children, there should be more healthier choices for the children. Like, for example, the shrimp pomelo salad is healthy, but children generally, they don't like salad. So they will not pick one. But you can see that Impossible Burger actually is a veggie burger. But children naturally they are in favor of burger. So we can see that many children that they pick that one. So I think it's still related to their preferences, and this technique can play some role, but not major role. As you can see from our other findings, actually, we can see that the nudge did work, but not very significantly. Yeah.
How about
we cannot fundamentally
children may perceive the experimental design. What if like overall assessment? If the food, the restaurant owners and design the overall assessment of the food and then sub dimensions of food. Like in this case, you are finding out the sub dimension of the stage 1 to 3, and main stage. You find out the significance level, but the others is not the significance. And what if usually the food restaurant, they sell the menu as a package part, menu A, menu B, lunchbox A, lunchbox B, and then the people choose. Okay, overally, I choose this one, and I choose B, something like that, and then it's kind of a technique for selling point, whether we sell it the package-based product or like some highlight menu stuff like that. So in this result, you are finding out the primary menu is effective rather than overall. So I'm wondering, what if we suggest overall assessment and the sub-dimensional assessment.
Oh, well, in this, the green restaurant in our hotel is a la carte menu. So we don't have package lunch. But I think that will be interesting to look at how if we put them in different packages, how this nudge effect will work in navigating the consumers the decision. Yeah.
Yes, for the question I raised, this one, I'm doing the research about TripAdvisor, and then TripAdvisor, the online review, there is overall assessment of your hotel experience. So I can assess my overall experience, and there is another following up the sub dimensions of like service quality and etiquette and cleanliness or sort of things. And I found out there is a big difference overall assessment and subcategory assessment. Some people measure overall assessment is good. Some people measure overall assessment bad, but some people assess differently when they look into the in detail subcategory. So if we apply that kind of a method according to the TripAdvisor, I can think we can apply for that overall package, menu and sub menu sort of things. What do you think about that?
So that sounds interesting. I didn't think that way, but yeah, I think that's the area. Yeah. I didn't think about that because it was a la carte menu. So yeah, it might be different if we give them different choices. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and then remember that we had two moderators, but the two moderators did not play a role in moderating the relationship between the contagion effect and the children's calorie intake. And same for the family communication pattern, that among 4 different types of communication, their selection, the result or the relationship between the positive contagion effect and also the calorie intake are the same. So the hypothesis on the moderator was not supported. And this is the findings from the eye movement results, that compared with the controlled manual, the treatment manual reduced children's fixation duration on the healthy AOI, probably because that they pay more attention to the cartoon character. So we also found that the family type could moderate the influence of the positive contagion effect on children's attention distribution. For children from highly encouraging families, the treatment manual could significantly reduce their visual attention to healthy items. But this is actually very different from what we saw, because we saw that they will pay more attention to the healthier item because of the cartoon character. But as a result, we can see from the findings from the eye movement data, the cartoon character didn't increase their attention to the healthier item, but for the main course, it reduced the calorie intake. And this is how we need to do some further research to see why this happens. Yeah. So as a result, that we do find that the contagion effect works on the menu that could promote children's healthier diet but only partially. And the nudge could partially affect children with different socialization level and family backgrounds. And the moderator was not didn't work out very efficiently, but only moderate the children's attention level to the controlled manual and also the treatment manual. So actually the findings were not very how to say it's a little bit disappointing to see it didn't work. And we are trying to work out why the nudge effect did not work for the children in the context of manual design, and this probably will be our next research. Uh, so but this paper was also published on the Annals of Research in last year. Okay, so
I saw it. Okay.
yeah. I'm not sure if I still have time, but I really want to share this. This
Okay.
is our ongoing research. We haven't complete, but I think it's a very interesting research because my expertise was in tourism, not in hotel, not in restaurants. But I didn't do, as you can see that for all those research I just shared, I didn't do much in the context of tourism because the tourism destination or attraction is very complicated, it's very complex, and there are a lot too many stimuli that may change our brain activities. That's why I started from the pre-trip advertisement and then the decision making in the setting of restaurant to see whether we can use this method in the attraction. And then in 2021, 2022, we actually conducted 2 field studies in the theme park using using a combination of EEG and eye tracking to understand tourist immersiveness in the attraction in the theme park. As we know that immersive experience becomes very popular in the travel industry, and not only for theme park, in museums, in the urban attractions, in urban indoor attractions, zoos, heritage sites, art galleries, they all talking about immersiveness, all talking about providing tourists with immersive experience. But the problem is that we don't know how to measure immersiveness on the neural basis. We don't know what does that mean in the neural term that one people is immersed, right? So of course we have some measurement scale, but at the neural level we don't have much knowledge about this. And then in the literature, there are some study concern the neural basis of immersion, especially in the gaming context when people playing video game, or in the driving scenarios. There's some research conducted to understand what does that mean on the neural basis for immersion. And so among this, with a particular focus on neural oscillation phenomenon when individual engage deeply with specific contexts. So this oscillation across various frequency can signify distant mental state. For example, as we just mentioned, that if you are close your eyes or you are pay full attention to something, the alpha wave will take over your brain. And then if you are in deep sleep, the delta wave will take over your brain. So when your brain is at different activity, the dominant wave will be different. So this become the foundation of the neural study of immersiveness. So as I mentioned that in the gaming context, the alpha waves decrease during both concentration and immersion, and the theta waves diminish across almost all electrodes during the concentration, but increase during immersion. And then in the driving scenarios, we can see change in high beta oscillation in the occipital and the parietal areas. And also these are often linked to alertness or sustained attention. So which is understandable that in a driving scenario, you have to be very alert and you have to maintain your attention. And then based on the literature review of neuro study of immersion, we identified two research gaps. One is that most of the studies were conducted in a controlled laboratory setting with highly regulated experimental parameters. So this can work for gaming study because when you play game, it doesn't matter whether you are in your bedroom or in the office, right? If you can immerse, then you can immerse. It doesn't matter about the external context. So for gaming study or driving study, the laboratory setting does not influence the external validity too much. But for tourism study, we cannot ask people to imagine their travel behavior in a laboratory setting. It has to be in the real world setting. So this is one of the research gaps. Another research gap is the paradigm. Now, most of our existing research in consumer behavior is based on the hypothesis-driven approach. So we develop hypotheses based on our understanding of literature. But for neuroscience-related study, as I mentioned, that we have very limited knowledge about our brain. So it's very hard for us to generate research hypotheses because we don't have enough literature. We cannot say that, hey, if this wave or this frequency demonstrate your brain, then you are in certain type of emotion or state. We cannot say that because we don't have the theory. So if we still adopt the hypothesis-driven approach, we may miss a lot of information. We may also constrain the scope of our investigation. Therefore, in this research, we try to conduct field experiment in theme park, and also we introduce the data-driven machine learning-based neurodecoding approach to understand what does immersion mean in a tourism context. That's what we want to do. So this is our overall research design, and the data were collected in two theme parks in China, one in Sichuan province and the other in Shanxi province. And then in this park, there are 11 rides. So at the beginning, our research, we tried each one of the rides to identify which one is more suitable for this experiment. And as a result, we select a show. It's a butterfly lover. I'm not sure if you know this, but it's a very, very famous love story from the ancient time in China. We select the butterfly lovers show as the experimental stimuli. It was performed in a holographic augmented reality theater, equipped with phantom imaging system and 3D scenes, providing a very immersive experience for the visitors. Okay, so this is actually related to Professor Ku's previous question, that how we connect survey with neuroscience study. This show is around 10 minutes. So at the beginning, in the pilot study, we invited 29 participants to assess their level of immersion evoked by the show using a 3-point Likert scale. And then we asked them to recall the show, to describe the show. And based on their narratives, the show was divided into 10 episodes, arranged in a chronological order. So each episode was defined by these 29 participants. They described what they experienced, what they viewed from the show, and then based on their narratives, we identified this 10 episodes. I think so. You can see that it's not averagely divided among the whole process of the show. It's based on the storyline of the show. So some when they experience emotional, we assume that when they experience emotional change, then they will define this as a separate episode. So as a result, we had 10 episodes, and then that was from the pilot study. And then in the main study, we recruited we recruited 51 participants, but only 37 of them are qualified. The data from the 37 of them are qualified from the research. It's a very painful data collection process because each individual, for data collected from each individual, it will take almost half a day because you have to brief them what the experiment is about, and then you have to put on the helmet, you put on the gel to make sure that the signal can be captured by the amplifier and also the machine, the equipment. And then we take them to watch the video, and then after that we do the interview, and then we have to help them to wash their hair because they're gel in their hair, so we have to help them to wash their hair. The whole process is almost half a day, and we can only do 2 in 1 day. And then the data were collected during the summer. It's extremely hot, so it's a little bit hard to recruit participants, although we offer them free tickets. And because the park owner is our research collaborator, so they don't have to wait in line. They can just jump into the show. They don't have to wait, but still it's very hard to recruit participants. And also some of the participants fall asleep while they watch the show, and some we also had a couple watching the show, and then during the show they start to fight, and then we have to eliminate those examples. So it's a lot of stories behind this, but luckily we were able to get 37. Yeah, so this is the process of data collection. And then we did some pre-processing, and then we extract the feature of the signal. And after that, we did the feature decoding and also the spatial decoding. The frequency decoding, meaning we have to identify which wave we are going to use, like it's alpha wave or beta wave or theta wave. And then for the spatial decoding, meaning that which area of your brain generate the signal generate from which area can be the indicator of the immersiveness. So this is a spatial decoding. And then after a lot of calculation, so let me just jump into the results conclusion. So as a conclusion, for the frequency code, we found that the alpha and the gamma wave can achieve best prediction accuracy. For example, in the future, if we use EEG to study people's immersive experience, we can use alpha and the gamma wave as the indicator. And in terms of the brain area, the central and the parietal area are core regions that significantly involve in and important to the immersive experience. So these two areas, remember that when we do the preference study, we use the frontal area of your brain, right? The left hand and the right hand, we calculate the difference. Then for immersiveness, we can use the central and the parietal area as the indicator. So theoretical contribution, frankly speaking, I don't think that we have much theoretical contribution in the tourism field because we didn't involve any theory or we don't contribute to any particular theory. But I think this research, if published, will have a methodological contribution because we have been talking about immersive experience, but we don't know how does it look like in our brain. And we don't have an indicator. It's like that you want to do a survey of immersive experience. You need to have a measurement scale, but you have to develop your measurement scale first to understand immersive experience for survey study. And then for the neuroscience study, we also need to have this similar type of study. We need to know the indicators, but in the literature, we don't have indicator for immersive experience in the tourism context. And then this is what we have been doing, that we try to develop the indicators for the immersive experience in the tourism context. So I think that's the major contribution of this research. And for the future research, because we only do it in the theme park setting, it's a show, but if you do other activities, it might be different, right? And also we also decode the neural basis of immersion by pinpointing the specific brain localization, use source analysis technique, because as I mentioned, that EEG has a very high time resolution, but temporal resolution, but in terms of spatial resolution, it's a relatively low. So although we identify 2 areas, but it might not be very specific or accurate. And this is what we can do in the future. So this is all about my sharing. Thank you very much.
Okay. Wow, Professor Mimi Lee, it's a fantastic presentation. I'm learning a lot actually from your work, and some work are pretty much related to my work as well, but I'm not much publication toward the EEG case. Maybe students, when you're seeing today, it's another territory to move forward. So it's a really fantastic. So far in the College of Hotel and Tourism here in Kyunghee University, we pretty much survey-based structure education modeling, survey-based experimental design sort of things. But we have to do this way, following up the Professor Mimi Lee. Okay, we are a little bit far behind our schedule. Thank you very much for presenting Professor Mimi Lee. We cannot give her time to our students to questions to you, but maybe next time.
Sure. And also, if you have any question, you can email me.
Professor Mimi, I will send the email to you about this work and collaboration if possible.
Sure.
Maybe
Yeah.
Simon Shin, he is also work with me about an EEG case in Seoul. So he will, you stay with him in your school, maybe can be a good partners for research work.
Sure. Yeah, we have the equipment in our school.
Okay. Thank you very much, students. So we just to finish up here, and see you next week.
See you.
Look forward to see you face to face, Professor Lee.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Professor Ku.
Bye.
Bye.